Greetings and welcome to LA Quill. Today we're diving into part 3 of chapter 16 of Child of the Wind. They entered the Emperor's study several moments later. The Emperor was there, as were two people Arianna had never seen. The woman was aging, only a few years younger than the Emperor, but she was beautiful nonetheless. She had silken black hair that flowed down her back to her waist, and only half of it was pinned up. Her eyes were dark, almost black, but her skin was as pale as Arianna's, indicating that one of her ancestors was not from the desert. Or maybe she was just naturally pale. Arianna knew this must be Damuk's aunt. The woman had made obvious attempts to look younger, and though her beauty could not be denied, her age was easy enough to discern. The man in the room was very angular and arrogant. His skin tone was the same as Damuk's, but the hair and the eyes were different. He was blonde, which was something Arianna hadn't seen in anyone except slaves since coming here, so she was mildly shocked to realize that this man was no slave, but Damuk's cousin. His eyes were as dark as the woman's. Damuk directed her further into the room. "Arianna, this is my aunt, Princess Sybil, and her son, my cousin, Prince Icon." He guided her to the couch gently, but they did not sit. He was doing his best to make it look like she was accompanying him willingly. He didn't want her humiliated by his aunt. Though, knowing his aunt... "So this is the little slave whore, then?" Sybil's voice dripped with malice. She looked the girl up and down with obvious disdain. There it was. Damuk met her eyes directly, feeling Arianna tense beside him. The comment had hurt her as it was intended to, and his anger started to rise. He corrected Sybil with steel in his voice. "No, aunt. This is Arianna, the mother of my unborn child." That one statement let everyone in the room know that he wouldn't tolerate insults toward her, not even from his own family. Of course not, Arianna thought, seething. He's the only one who gets to insult me. A moment later, she regretted her unkind thoughts. He had done many things to her, but Damuk had actually been very polite through it all, at least since leaving Akana Valley. More than polite last night, actually. In fact, he'd been patient and gentle last night. It had been entirely unexpected, and not entirely unwelcome. The Emperor caught her eyes, and she saw amusement reflected in his dark gaze. She remembered Damuk telling her that the Emperor could hear thoughts as easily as he could hear words. He was incredibly talented at it, more so than anyone else in the Empire. She blushed, realizing the train of her thoughts and that he must have heard them. Prince Icon suddenly took her hand in his, surprising her. He raised it to his lips, kissing it lightly. "A pleasure," he almost whispered, turning her hand over to lay a kiss on her palm. Arianna didn't like the look in his eyes or the way his gaze played over her body. She wanted to snatch her hand back, but Damuk had warned her not to be rude to his family. She wasn't sure what she should do. She was sure she didn't want this man to touch her. He made her want to vomit in a way that had nothing to do with the baby. She wondered briefly what Damuk would do if she was ill all over his cousin's shiny boots. She was saved from having to make the decision by Damuk. With a dark grin, he pulled her hand from his cousin's grip. He wrapped his own hand around hers, very clearly staking his claim. Arianna pulled her hand free and wiped it on her skirt, and Icon's eyes narrowed. But since Damuk didn't take her to task for it, she assumed that he didn't mind. It was painfully obvious that the two men didn't get along. Arianna felt safe in assuming they were enemies. Before the exchange could go any further, a slave appeared and quietly announced that dinner could commence at their leisure. Rocken took his sister's left arm, leading the way to the dining hall. As they approached the dining hall, Damuk was acutely aware of the fact that Icon was watching Arianna from behind. He would have to make sure they were never left alone together, for Icon had no great love for Damuk. Icon wanted the throne, and made no secret of that. Actually, Icon wanted everything Damuk had, and that envy would extend to Arianna. It was not a promising start. His aunt was angry and would probably try to get rid of Arianna simply because if Damuk had a son, her own son would never be emperor. Icon had probably thought of that as well, but instead of getting rid of Arianna, he would try to possess her. Only his father was no threat to his little pet. He gave a purely mental sigh. Family was overrated. As they approached the dining hall, he felt Arianna slow beside him. He knew that she was nervous, and he knew why. She'd cried to Faylene about it earlier, and Faylene had told him what to expect. Her nervousness was a result of her own upbringing. As a peasant, she had never dined with anyone even remotely noble. She hadn't even dined at the mayor's home back in her village because she was not yet old enough to have been invited, despite being the town healer since her mother had died. He transferred her left hand into his and put his right arm around her. "It's all right," he whispered. "Just relax. I'll be there with you. There's nothing to worry about." Provided his aunt and cousin didn't start something, but he kept that thought to himself. Somehow the thought that she wouldn't be alone helped, and for right now it didn't even bother her that the man she was depending on for support was the man she hated. She could hate him later. Right now, she needed him. They ascended the dais and took their seats. Rocken was in the center, Sybil and Icon on his left, Damuk and Arianna on his right. Arianna was shaking, just a little. Dinner went as usual, or as usual as dinner with the court ever got. There were over 100 people present, not counting the slaves that served the meal. There were the usual court rivalries, alliances being made and broken, and rumors being spread. And no one present missed the chance to stare openly at the blonde beauty seated beside their prince. The rumor that she was pregnant with his heir had already circulated. If she was, some of those present were happy, and some were decidedly not. Politics were alive and well within the imperial court. After dinner, it was customary for the royal family to adjourn to the emperor's study. Tonight, however, Damuk took Arianna immediately up to his room. As soon as the bedchamber door was securely shut, she started to shake. He took her in his arms, holding her for several moments. She was mostly shaking from relief. She hadn't made a fool of herself. The world hadn't swallowed her whole. She was still alive, and it looked like she would survive the night. She had only had to make conversation with Damuk, and he'd mostly been speaking with his father, though he had paid attention to what she was eating and how much, insisting she ate as much as possible. When she had herself under control, she pushed away from Damuk. She glanced toward the door, expecting her keepers, Faylene and Gemma, to appear at any moment. She was getting a little tired of being followed by them. They seemed to be everywhere. Damuk followed her gaze and her thoughts and smiled. "Unless you have need of Faylene, no one will enter this room tonight." He gently removed the emerald necklace and carried it to the dressing table. "I'll get you a jewel box tomorrow." "I don't need, of course you do. You can't just leave a precious jewel lying around." He smiled as he said it, and she understood what he really meant, and blushed. Damuk sat on the edge of the bed and pulled her towards him. He reached for the buttons of her gown, and she tried to twist away. "Shh, I won't hurt you. Trust me." He reached for her again. She didn't pull away. Just for tonight, it might be nice to have someone look after her, to cherish her as she'd never been cherished before. And since she was carrying his child, he was likely the only person who would ever cherish her at all. When he reached for her again, she didn't protest. And that's our tale from L.A. Quill today. If you enjoyed this chapter, let me know your favorite moment in the comments. Until next time, may your stories always be magical.